Hey guys, it's Matt, and today I'm going to be explaining my personal timeline for how to go from zero to complete mastery of Japanese using the AJAP method. Basically, if I could go back in time to the day I first started learning Japanese and give my past self some advice, it would be follow this timeline to the T. Now please note that what I'm about to share is my personal updated version of the AJAP method, which differs quite a bit from Katsumoto's original method. I've added some things, taken some things out, and moved some things around based on my personal experience and all the things I've studied and learned throughout my AJAT journey, and I'm totally convinced that my new updated version is much more comprehensive, efficient, and complete than Katsumoto's original. Now, I did include specific dates in this timeline because I know that people are always wondering, how long is it going to take me? How good can I expect to get after this amount of time? But realistically, everyone is going to progress at a different speed. Some people are going to be able to blaze through some of the parts of this timeline way faster than I predicted. It's going to take some people way longer than I predicted. And of course, this all depends on how much time you have available each day to commit to learning Japanese. So I would just keep that all in mind and not get too caught up in the specific dates. So with all that out of the way, let's get started. So I've broken down the process of mastering Japanese into 4 stages, and I predict that each one should take roughly 1 year. Stage 1. Beginner. Part 1. Laying the groundwork. First, you want to get educated about language acquisition in general, pick a specific method, learn about it, and gain a deep understanding of it. This is going to be a really long journey that's going to require a lot of really nuanced thinking, so before you even get started, you want to make sure that you've constructed a solid conceptual model that has the capacity to inform all of your specific decisions. In your case, this probably means something like reading the AJAT table of contents, reading Anti-Moon, and watching my videos. Next, set up a consistent sleep schedule. I cannot emphasize how crucial this is. Consistency and habits are the utter foundation of this entire process, and that all starts with starting each day the same way. Next, get a copy of the meditation manual, The Mind Illuminated by Culadasa. Now, of course, you don't have to use this specific meditation manual, you can use any one you want, but this is one that I can highly recommend and blows everything else I've seen out of the water. In the Mind Illuminated book, read up until stage 4, and then start meditating 5 minutes every day, first thing in the morning. Each week or two, add an additional 5 minutes onto your total meditation time until you eventually reach 1 hour per day total of meditation. Now, that may sound like a lot of time at first, but you're going to get so much more than that back through just increased concentration and internal peace that it's going to be way more than worth it. This is not a step that you can skip if you want to learn Japanese as efficiently as possible. Next, load up on native media and start immersing as much as possible, both active and passive. And while you're at it, teach yourself hiragana and katakana. This concludes part 1, which should have taken you around a month. Now, that may sound like a lot of time considering that you haven't actually started learning any real Japanese yet, but this laying the groundwork is so crucial because you're literally setting up the foundation for the next thousands and thousands of hours you're about to spend learning Japanese. Part 2. Remembering the Kanji, parts 1 and 3. Using the books Remembering the Kanji parts 1 and 3, combined with an SRS like Anki, learn 25 kanji a day. It should take you around 4 months to learn 3,000 kanji. As you do this, continue to immerse yourself in Japanese as much as possible. Try to learn what you can from context alone. Also, try to recognize common words that you hear often, and maybe even look up what they mean. Part 3. Basic grammar. Go through a basic Japanese grammar guide, making sentence cards for each of the example sentences. I personally recommend Tae Kim's grammar guide, as that's what I personally used and it served me quite well. This should take you around a month. Part 4. Bilingual sentences. Mine things like anime and drama with Japanese subtitles, manga, or websites for I+1 sentences, and then make bilingual sentence cards out of them. It takes around 2,500 bilingual sentence cards in order to complete this phase, so I would aim for around 20 a day in order to complete this phase in just over 4 months. Part 5. Monolingual sentences. Using the method I detailed in my monolingual transition video, begin to make the monolingual transition. At first, you'll want to drop your daily number of sentence cards to around 10 a day, but you can bump this up to 15 once you become more skilled at using a Japanese to Japanese dictionary. Around 2 months of this should take you to the end of stage 1. Now at this point, you should be understanding more and more of your input by the day, and although you probably won't be able to speak hardly at all, you should be able to learn Japanese entirely in Japanese without relying on your native language. Stage 2. Intermediate. Continue immersing all the time and making monolingual sentence cards. I would aim for around 10 to 15 cards a day. You don't need any more than that. At this point, learn about pitch accent theory, start paying attention to pitch accent in general, and start learning the pitch accent of all the new words that you learn. Once you start to master things like anime with Japanese subtitles and manga, start branching out to things like visual novels and light novels, and eventually real novels. I don't have any real metric for when you finished this stage, but I predict it should take around a year. Stage 3. Advanced. Start outputting for the first time. By this point, you should have been understanding most of your immersion for quite a while now, so it should come quite naturally. That said, it will still take a lot of practice. Start learning literally every new word you come across in your immersion, even if it seems not too important. Lastly, start actively seeking out your weak spots when it comes to Japanese. You want to make the transition to immersing with what you need, not just with what's fun. By the time you reach the end of this stage, which should also take around a year, you should be completely fluent by anyone's definition of the word, the JLPT N1 should seem like a complete joke, and the average gaijin should look like an ant to you. Stage 4. From fluent to native level and beyond. Your 4th year of learning Japanese begins, and you continue to seek out all of the countless little holes in your Japanese knowledge. At this point, you want to adopt a parent, listen to them as much as possible, and really try to mimic their style of speech. You'll also want to begin specifically studying things like Japanese culture, Japanese history, Japanese linguistics, including things like Keigo, and classical Japanese. Now naturally, this stage doesn't really have an end, I'm still working on it myself, but it's pretty much just a matter of seeking out all of the little holes in your Japanese and patching them up one by one. In order to continue to make progress, you have to start to really consciously pick out specific aspects of Japanese that you want to improve at, and really put some conscious effort into that area. After reaching this point, many people will probably just get satisfied with their current ability and stop striving to continually improve, which is totally great. But if you so desire, you can continue to advance down this path until you eventually begin to approach true, indistinguishable native ability. Now, I don't claim to have done this myself, but I don't doubt that it's completely possible. So that's it. Just a few points to wrap up. I feel like for the later stages, I didn't really emphasize immersion that much, but throughout every single stage in this process, you should be immersing yourself in Japanese as much as possible, really trying to get every second you can with Japanese. Now, just because I know there's going to be people who ask this, if you're someone who's been learning Japanese for a while now, using AJAT or some other method, but you seem to have skipped one of the steps that I talked about today, what should you do? I would say just pause what you're doing for a while and go back and complete that step. If you never went monolingual, go become monolingual. If you never completed remembering the kanji, put the sentence cards on the side for a while and go complete remembering the kanji. If you've never meditated before, get the book and start learning how to meditate. Okay, that's all from me. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I'd like to give a super special shout out to Nihongo Heeb, Alhandy, Isaac, King, Phantom, Madman, Brody, Diedrich, and all my other patrons. Thank you guys for supporting me. If you would like to come and support me as well, come check out my Patreon. On my Patreon account, you will find 2 exclusive interviews with AJATers who got fluent within the time span that I talked about today. Thanks a lot, guys.